Guys, the time has finally arrived. We have Wave 5 of Jada Toys Street Fighter Akuma in hand. I have been waiting patiently. I picked this up from 219 Collectibles on eBay and it just showed up to my mailbox. I am so excited to get into this figure. If you don't know, now you know. This is the Jada Toys Akuma, and I am super stoked on him. We are inching ever so closer to completing the full roster there. We only have 4 more figures now to get in hand, and they should be here, my guess, by about the end of summer. And it's just going to be so much fun to have a full shelf of the entire roster from Street Fighter 2. And this Akuma is quickly becoming one of my favorites just based on reviews that I've seen of him already. And we're going to do an in-depth review here. Let's break into this package, let's test him out. We're going to do an articulation test. We're going to check out his accessories and everything he comes with. And then at the end, I'm going to do some posing and give you my final thoughts for this figure. So let's get into it. Oh man, I am so stoked for this one, guys. One of my most highly anticipated releases so far from Jada. Akuma is just such an iconic character, and from all of the shots that they've shown, they've really knocked him out of the park as far as like aesthetics go. I think this is the perfect look for Akuma. This is exactly how I view Akuma when I think about Akuma. You see he comes with plenty of accessories here. We're going to take him out of this blister pack and get into more of those details. Now we have him opened and all the plastic ties cut, so let's take him out of the blister and take a closer look at him. He is looking so damn good. The sculpt, the face sculpt is great. I think it looks just like the Street Fighter 2 character select screen sprite. His muscles are looking great. He's like extra stocky. He's like stockier than the Ryu and the Ken, which I love to see. Akuma in my mind is like a shorter, beefier, stockier character, and I think they got his proportions and his sculpt down just right. That paint deco on the back of the gi is super cool. It's got a nice sort of glow effect, so it's extra like dynamic there. It looks like it's kind of popping off of the gi, and I really like the torn edges here. This gi is a super soft plastic. I'm really digging the hair. They got a nice sort of lighter yellow highlight on the red that might be kind of hard to see on camera, but you can tell that it has some nice paint detail there. His gi has that nice texture that we saw with both Ryu and Ken, and of course he has the really fun flip-flops. Just the iconic character Akuma. He is just one of my favorites because he is just so badass looking, and I think they really captured him very, very well in this figure. So good job, Jada. I am digging this so far. Let's go ahead and take a quick look at his accessories. He does come with one of his Hadouken fireballs. That's probably not what it's called. This one looks just like the Sagat one, but is a good amount bigger. This thing is freaking huge. It's solid, it's hefty, super solid plastic. I can grab the Sagat one really quick just to show you the size comparison. And though the sculpt is the same, you can see this thing is like twice the size as the one that came with Sagat. So this could easily be used for Sagat as well. Here's that second head sculpt, the gritting teeth. And this one is just really good. I think this was probably going to be my preferred version. I love these sort of action head sculpts. That red in the eyes is just super demonic looking. The hairpiece is done super well. This is a pliable plastic here. It's pretty small connection joint there, so I'd be careful if you're messing with this too much. Now, I would maybe have liked to seen a little more shading in the teeth there, but outside of that, this head sculpt is phenomenal. Let's check out his beaded necklace. It is on an elastic piece, so it is like pliable, and it's kind of hard to see here. It has his demon symbol right there on one of those beads. So let's go ahead and put this on him just to see how it looks. And now I think you got to pop the head off to get that on. And it is, slightly stiff. I think if you play with it some, it can kind of break in and fall a little more naturally, but must-have accessory for Akuma. And then he, of course, comes with a second pair of hands and his open palm Hadouken hands, perfect to hit those Hadouken poses, which we will show later in the video. Overall, after a quick look at this dude, super happy with this so far, but you know we're going to get into that articulation test, so let's get into it. I'm going to take his necklace off real quick. You can see there he looks down that much, which is really great range on the neck and the head. He looks up about that much. I think the hair starts to get in the way a little bit. This is on a barbell peg, so he can get a nice range of motion all the way around, a good amount of tilt. All right, we're going to check his T-pose, and you can see there he gets a little bit above 90, which is really nice. Like to see that. Now we're going to test a really nice 180 on those shoulders with help from that new joint there. I will say when I was testing the butterflies here, I pushed it a little bit too far, and because of that new peg setup, these shoulders do pop out a little bit easier if you push the range too far, unlike the previous versions where they're kind of really solid inside of that socket, so be aware of that. Of course, you have the brand new butterfly joints here on the 1.5 articulated body. Here, we'll take it off so you can see. It's got this sleeve piece here and a really nice socket that doesn't move there. It's just a nice deep ball socket that allows you to get a bunch of range out of this shoulder piece, but again, it is a little more import, I would say, in its design, where those shoulders will like to come out if you push the range too far. But you can see really great 180 rotation on those butterflies, which of course help you get some really great poses. Drop his shoulders up, drop them down. You can really get some more dynamic posing with this new shoulder setup, so you know I'm really digging that. He has an upper bicep swivel, of course, nice and smooth, 180, double jointed elbow here. He is a little bit stiff. I would maybe suggest heating him up before doing this, but we're doing this right out of the box. There is his max bicep with the double joints, really nice, way past 90 degrees on that. Really liking that. Again, that is a little bit stiff. You might want to hit that with some oil or heat that up. He has a ball swivel on the hand, so nice 180 degrees. Let's take this hand out just so we can see the build and the peg. There's the joint there. Let's go ahead and switch out his hand. And do these come off sometimes? Oh, those do come off. So that is a separate piece there. These are pretty tight. But as you can see there, that's about the max range I can get it because of the sculpt. His butterflies. With that new butterfly setup, again, you want to be careful because these are going to be more prone to popping out of the socket as you're messing with them. We should be able to get more there. Let's flatten out those biceps. Yeah, so he should easily hit a really nice Hadouken pose there. Let's test them going backwards. Oops, see, as I said, these ones do like to come out of that socket more so than the previous Jada versions. Going backwards, and I want to get the joint to sit right because again, like I said, these ones have a tendency more so to pop out. So I want to just use the butterflies here, not the shoulder joints. So kind of getting used to that new ball socket joint there. And, I have a tendency to want to push it too far, which you don't want to do, but we can get him to, with a little maneuvering there, you can get him to get a nice bit backwards. I would like to see a little bit more out of that, but nothing too bad there. And these joints, again, just take a little bit of getting used to, especially if you're used to the old Jada joints. What I liked about the old Jada joints is that those things were solid. They were locked in. You could push them as far as you wanted and they wouldn't pop off. So you just have to be more aware of that when dealing with these joints. Let's check his ab with the gi. With the gi, I would say that's probably about max right there, which is a really nice range in the abdomen. As you can see there he is going backwards, a nice range out of that abdomen joint. His split, no problem. The gi is such a soft plastic, and that slit in the side just easily gets out of the way, allows you to hit that split, no problem. He has an upper thigh swivel cut, has a double jointed knee, and these are usually a little stiff right out of the box, but we're gonna see if we can show you the max here. There we go. It looks like that's about max on his knee, which other figures we've seen get a little bit more, laying almost flat up against there, but you can see some of the bulkiness of that kind of gets in the way, but still nice extension way past 90 degrees. I wouldn't call that bad by any means, actually really good. Now he has a ankle swivel right there at the gi, nice hidden cut, and then he has some really strong, I believe, ratcheted ankles there that should hold up nicely for posing. That ratchet is just a pretty stiff joint there, so it does go up that much. And then of course you have these great toe articulations with the separated sandal, and that's just a lot of fun. That's going to be great for posing. And then his ankle rock. He has a pretty good ankle rock there, sort of at an angle. But you see, you should be able to get plenty of dynamic poses out of this guy with that ankle rock there. Let's go ahead and do our trusty kick test. So we're not going to get the body involved, see if he can get him. So just straight up and down there. He's getting past 90 with ease. And I imagine if I could use a little bit of the abdomen and push that further, yeah, he's going to kick up like that, no problem. Let's see if we can get him into a front and back split. Yep, with that hip range, again without drop down, so that's really impressive to see. Easy front and back split, no problem whatsoever. And I think that pretty much covers it. This figure articulates really well. He is a little stiff out of the box. I'm going to maybe heat him up a little bit, add just a little bit of joint oil in the elbows and the knees. And let's go ahead and take off his gi just to get a better look at the body and how that is articulating. So that should pop off just like so. And this, oh, the belt is separate. And because this is such a soft plastic, this thing has no problem coming off. There you go. You can even put this on some of your other characters, I would imagine. That should fit no problem. But here he is again, not the same body as the Ryu and Ken, even though very similar. He is thicker, he is stockier, and I think he looks really nice like this. Oh, stocky, thick, badass. I think that's how Akuma should look. Let's get a better look at the shoulders. You can see there, these things move just really nicely with that joint. He gets some nice side to side ab crunch as well. You can see that there, not bad. There's that backwards and the forward, but he's looking really good. Like aesthetically, really digging this guy. I cannot complain about how well this guy came out. I will say on camera his skin looks a little shinier than it does in person. In person he does have a bit more of a flat matte look, but just killer looking figure. Let's put his other head on. Let's get his necklace on there. Oh, that head sculpt is killer. Loving that. Really liking this figure, guys. Let's go ahead and jump into some posing tests, get him into some of the iconic Akuma poses, and then we will wrap up with final thoughts. So after spending some quality time posing this guy, checking out the articulation a little bit further and in action, I will say I did heat him up. His knees and his elbows especially were very stiff and needed some heating up just to get those to kind of unlock, so he moves a lot better now after a little bit of heat. But this guy poses so well and just looks great. I have to say, this is a really awesome figure. I give this guy 2 thumbs up. If you've been thinking about picking him up, or you're interested in this Jada Street Fighter line and aren't already a collector of it, this is probably a great place to start. This figure, sculpt-wise, is maybe one of my favorites. I think it's just really accurate, aggressive, and just a little more detailed than the average Jada Toys sculpt. They're just improving, again, every line, which you love to see. Now, I do have a couple gripes with him. The first being how stiff his knees and elbows were coming straight out of the package. Really stiff, honestly, to where it made it hard to maneuver and pose him. But again, with a little bit of heat, loosened everything up, and he moves really smooth now. His other articulation points were honestly fine. It was really just concentrated in his knees and his elbows. My second gripe is going to come with the butterfly pieces, which I love the dynamic range of the brand new butterfly joints. They're really nice and add a lot of character in your posing because of the way that they move up, down, left, right, just all the way around. But the gripe comes from if you're, when you're pushing it too far, or if you're trying to get it a little farther than it likes to go, that comes off really easily. Now, it is a large peg with a nice, easy to access large peg hole there, so putting it back isn't a problem. It goes in really easily. But I will say, when I was posing him and playing with him, those arms did want to come out. Of course, much easier than the previous Jada articulation, where that thing was rock solid and you can mess with it and not worry about them coming out. But that is just the price we pay to add that additional articulation on these figures and the 1.5 bodies and the figures moving forward. And I think it's a pretty good payoff, because some of the older figures I did think needed some more motion, or their shoulders sat just slightly too low, and this solves all of those problems. So I'm okay with living with the shoulders popping out every once in a while, because they go in so easily, and that added articulation is just really nice. So overall, guys, loving this figure, having tons of fun posing him. Is going to look great on the shelf, and I highly recommend picking him up if you haven't already. Thanks, guys, for watching. I'm going to go pose this guy some more, and we will catch you on the next one.